So yeah, we are talking about the retail industry, and in particular how Q and QuickSight can help out in that space. Um, I'm speaking today to do most of the presentation. Rio's here as sort of our subject matter expert on QuickSight to answer any questions that come up about QuickSight or about Q. We're going to talk about a little bit about the retail industry and the landscape the changing landscape it's facing. Then we're going to talk about generative BI, and you've heard a lot about generative AI. Generative BI is business intelligence using generative AI, and how that can really make the idea of something being data driven a reality. And then kind of the core of the presentation is going to be a presentation of an actual demonstration of QuickSight. So I'm going to go through a few things there, and then we'll have some time set aside for Q&A at the end. So if we dive in here, anybody who's been shopping in stores in the last few years knows that the retail landscape is changing. There was a big change, just partly because of the COVID and the pandemic, but even before that, there were pretty sea changes happening with shifts to online and e-commerce. The physical retail landscape was changing. Now these days, there's a lot of concern about customer experience and what they're doing in stores to make sure that they can maintain their margins. So there's a lot going on in the retail sector, and a big piece of this and how the trends that we're seeing retailers adopt to deal with this changing landscape is that generative AI BI. This is a technology that's come out in the last few years that has really transformed the way operations work, the way customers personalize and customer interactions are done. Customer data has always been a major factor for retail, and understanding who the shopper is and what they're doing and what their motivations are, and how can that data that is collected by your own store and stores be leveraged to give you a competitive advantage. And then kind of underpinning all of that is, of course, having a data strategy that really aligns your business plan with how you're managing your data and what kind of governance you have and how do you organize your data and get to it. And what we'll show, coming up is the QuickSight, which is a way to actually, have the rubber meet the road and have that data and those insights reach decision makers so that you can leverage the data that you have and, make more informed decisions. The generative BI capabilities that Amazon has introduced are available via QuickSight, via Q. Q is the AI that Amazon has brought to the market to be able to answer questions, dive through data, generate code, make visualizations. It's really a very, very capable AI, technology. And in the context of QuickSight, it gives you the power to build and author dashboards, gives you insights into the data that is driving behind your data, and it actually can generate stories and reports, narrative reports about your data just based on the data that is available in your dashboard. Under the hood, there's Bedrock is the one of the AI platforms that Amazon supports as a service to use it, but the advantage of Q is that it's a fully managed service. And so you don't need to worry about doing any training or any of the fine tuning that you would if you're running your own foundation model. So why does this matter, and where does Q fit into the organization, and what does it mean to be data driven? So if you have a data driven organization, looking at three key elements of that. You have your data infrastructure, right? Those are your data warehouse, your data lakes, and all of the infrastructure that's needed to manage, collect, manage, store, organize all that data. That data is usually made available to business decision makers through some kind of dashboard, analytics dashboard, via Amazon QuickSight. Additionally, at the bottom of this chart here is the analysis and data science work that's done on the data. And that's closing that loop and making sure that the analysts and the data scientists that are working with the data are getting that information back into the infrastructure, back into the warehouse, so that it can be displayed for dashboard. There's another cycle that's over on the lower right here that is the sort of ad hoc analysis and the questions and answers and the refinement that, as decision makers are looking at the data, they're trying to understand how they can change their operations, how they can stock their stores differently, where they should place their stores, all of the questions related to, retail operation and making sure that it's data motivated, the decisions that they're making, that information needs to generally come from the analyst, that the business decision makers will have questions. They'll want to know about some aspect of the data, and it may not be available in the sort of standard QuickSight dashboards. So they have to make a request to the analysts. The analysts then have to put together, the relevant SQL, pull the right data, develop a visualization for it, and feed that back to, through QuickSight, and get that back to the decision makers so they can act on that information, that insight. That's kind of the standard process. Now, if we look at where Q can be inserted into this and to help and accelerate some of these cycles that happen, the first one is up at the top, that business decision makers, instead of having to go to the analyst to ask questions and to get answers and have them go through a whole cycle of building the code to pull the data and build a report and the visualization, they can actually ask Q directly, and they can interface with the AI, ask questions of the AI, and get answers back immediately from that, which both saves them time and saves the analyst time, so that they're not, being anybody who's developed and work. You get the CEO asking questions, and you need to pull together an answer right away, and that usually is the top priority thing. And so that it removes that delay in the cycle by allowing business decision makers who don't necessarily need to know SQL, they don't need to know visualization strategies. Q will take care of that for them. And so that's a key piece that Q comes in. And then in the lower right, Q is also useful for those analysts and those data scientists that are building out the dashboards and doing investigations, that they can also ask questions, same sort of thing, and they can also use it to more rapidly develop dashboards, to, when they have found, oh, here's a new KPI that we should be tracking, let me put together a visualization on it and make that part of the dashboard. Q can actually help them with the authoring of the dashboard, and I'll show an example of that as well. And so Q really helps in two places when you're working with QuickSight, both unburdening the analyst from the from kind of ad hoc questions and allowing business makers to ask those directly of the AI, as well as helping the analysts by allowing them to build and develop dashboards more quickly. So that's overall the sort of value proposition, if you will, of generative BI. You need those dashboards to communicate information. You want to make those tools, which are really important to your business, more effective. And so you get the ability to do natural language querying. You lower those barrier to entry because people don't need to know SQL. They don't need to know visualization tools. The AI will help them for that. And then for the folks that are working more closely with the data and in depth, the analysts and the data scientists, that their efficiency is improved just by their time's more effectively done, and then they can use the Q in QuickSight to more quickly generate dashboards. This is not a real client, but it is designed to act like a real client. The data have been modeled in a way that there's real interactions among different elements of the data, prices and sales and the labor force and customer wait time, that those are all interact in a sort of realistic way so that we can show it. We obviously can't show real customer data here, so we're showing the synthetic client. And what we have here is a sports equipment retailer. So think of your big fives, Dick's Sporting Goods, REI, something like that. They've got 100 stores across the country, so we have a large amount of data, large volume of sales. For those that have not seen QuickSight, let me just show real quickly. You can have different visualizations on your dashboard, where all the sales are happening, projections of sales, breakdowns, by state, individual sales at individual stores, by departments. We've got, an outdoor department, surfing department, fitness, cycling, different departments. You can see, questions about the sales history of different products. You can see what products are selling more. So this is kind of just a gallery of the visualizations QuickSight have done. For anybody who hasn't seen QuickSight, it is a very powerful analytics dashboard and visualization tool for working with your data. But the thing I want to focus on today is actually using Q. So anyone can go, if QuickSight is set up in your organization, and we're sort of presuming that you have QuickSight and are using QuickSight, adding Q on is a simple behind the scenes. You turn on a Q subscription, but you get this little icon, the Q icon in the corner here. And what that allows you to do is start asking questions of the data. And so this is where the AI really starts to matter. So if we're gonna ask a question about these data, let's say I don't see something that I want to know about, and so I want to know, I see that certain products are selling better, and I want to know like which department has the highest sales. And so this is actually going to so what the AI is doing behind the scenes here is it's taking my natural language question, which is something that anybody can ask, which department had the highest sales in 2024. The AI actually interprets that into essentially an SQL query behind the scenes, and you can say that it tells you that it interpreted as, and then it gives you the fields it used, the total subtotal by department for the date time in 2044. So that's sort of the technical query that it's actually going to make of the data. And that's part of the AI. That's a big piece of the AI, is translating your natural language query into a computer understandable query. And then the AI actually comes back with visualizations too. It recognizes certain types of data are appropriate for bar charts. Maybe you want some summary, maybe you want a total. So it gives you all of those fields and visualizations of that data. So here we see fitness department is here on top. It's got the total sales, outdoor department, surfing department. So we see the top several departments here. So that's a very quick way if somebody had that kind of question they want to ask, and get back those answers quickly. Another scenario might be that while there's lots of visualizations about the different individuals, different stores in comparison to each other, what if I want to drill into a particular store? So if I say show me the sales total time for store 15, and this should come back with a plot of the sales for that particular store by week here. And so it interpreted my natural language request, and here it wasn't even really a query. It says show me the sales total, and asking for that over time, and it understood that over time meant, okay, give you a time series chart of those sales. It also said, I said store 15. Store 15 is located in San Francisco. It gets a little map here of where it is. So that's an example of the kind of queries that one can make to dig into the data that are sort of ad hoc. We might also want to change topics. One of the things that we've been asking financial questions about sales. We can change topics, and we can ask questions about the customer experience. So customer experience, obviously, for retail is a big deal. Maintaining an edge, retaining your customers, making sure they're having a good experience at their store is very important. So we can ask what stores have the longest average wait times 2024. So here we're concerned. We have one of the features in our store is, hypothetical store, is appointments. That somebody, if they need to get their bike fixed, or they need to get their shoes fitted, or their hiking equipment fitted, they can make an appointment. They check in, and then there's a wait time before they actually get serviced. And so obviously if you have a long wait time, that's a really bad customer experience. You want to make sure that those are lower. So you can certainly imagine a scenario where somebody wants to know what stores are doing well and what stores are doing poorly in terms of that customer experience KPI. So again, natural language query, it interprets it into a way that relates to the data and is an actual query of the data, and gives us back some visualizations. And let's say I'm in the organization. My job is it's really important for me to always look at the wait time, and I want to know this by store. This is something that's not on our regular dashboard. It's not on the sort of company dashboard, but I want to look at it all the time. I can do a feature here called add it to the pin board. And so when I add that to the pin board, now when I go to the pin board, this is sort of my own personal dashboard. And you can see it's got the average wait time by store. And so now whenever I log in, I can bring up the visuals that I thought were very interesting or very relevant to my part of the business, and they're available to me on the pin board without any additional work. I don't need to request anybody add anything to the company dashboard. It doesn't clutter up the company dashboard because it's something specific to me. So that's kind of one of the features that allows things to be customized for a high-level user. I also want to dive into how an analyst, I said, that Q can help analysts also develop dashboards more quickly. And so I'm going to go a little bit under the hood here. This is now an authoring point of view. So those of you who use QuickSight, you're familiar with sort of this view of, you've got your dashboards that are built, and then the analysts, the analyses. And so if we want to build out something new, so one of the features that, or one of the metrics that's a common sales metrics that's not included on our dashboard is the sales profit margin. Excuse me. So if we want to add the sales profit margin, but we don't want to we don't want to type out the code, we can actually just request that the AI work it out for us. I'm going to build the calculation, and I'm going to request that it come up with an answer for that. Sorry, losing my voice here. One of the things you'll see here is I just asked for a sales profit margin, and the AI actually Q building this calculation actually came back with a formula for a sales profit, and it's correct. Sales minus cost of goods and services divided by total sales. So I'm going to accept that and insert it, and I'm going to save that, and I now have that that variable available to me. And if I want to make a new visual, I can build a new visual here, and I'm going to say and build that visual. And we actually get a visualization, and we can, and again, I didn't have to write any code for any of this. I simply asked it sales profit margin. It gave me a formula. I accepted it. Now I'm asking for a visual over time. It's giving me that visual by interpreting by natural language. I'm going to add to the analysis. And you can see that this is now in our dashboard. Let me get some of these windows out of the way. This is in our dashboard, and we can publish this dashboard, and that becomes part of the dashboard. You can see that we've created a visual, created a new formula, a new visual, and not had to write any code, and that was all done by the AI. So this is just an example of how a analyst can use Q to more quickly generate results, visualizations, data fields in QuickSight. So I'm going to go back to our dashboard here. I did not publish it, so it's not on there yet. But you can see that we have, those are some of the main Q features. One thing that that you have there, so you have the questions, you can change the topics, you have the ability for analysts to add new things. And that's really kind of the main elements I wanted to cover here of how you can use Q in the QuickSight dashboard and in the context of QuickSight in terms of getting to more information, how different roles can use Q, whether you're a user of QuickSight and just want to ask questions, get information from the dashboard and from the data underlying the dashboard, as well as if you're an analyst and you want to be able to develop new features, new visualizations on your dashboard more quickly. I'm going to show one other thing here since we do have some time. I wasn't sure how much time we have. We can actually do something called a data story. So data story is actually using the AI to generate an entire narrative based on some of the visuals. So, and this is a way to generate reports, get some insights around your data. So we could ask it, what are the trends of sales in Um, and we're going to add some visuals. So it asks you to add some visuals to that might be relevant. So we're asking about a state result. So let's say we're going to have the state visuals here, the percentage by state, and maybe the top stores. And then we'll say build. And this can take a minute or two because it's crunching through all that data and working out a narrative that you can present. And we're doing this in real time, so you're seeing this live. What we have here, the story's finished generating, and so you saw the only prompt I type in is what are the trends in sales trends in California, and it's actually written us now. We gave it a few visuals to use, and you can see that it's actually written an entire report for us here, giving an introduction, providing some background, total sales by state, and showing this is the visual from our dashboard here. It gives some details and describes and talks about how California is dominant in there. And I should note you can edit any of this text, so this gives you kind of a first rough draft to work with. Breaking down by store. Again, all of this text was just generated, as you saw here in the couple minutes that it took to run. And again, you can add your name, you can edit the text if there's something you disagree with or don't think it's relevant. You can change that, and then you can if you want, you can change some of the visuals here that you can make it more bold and vivid. But this is another example of the AI, and this is a little bit more of the conventional generative AI in the sense of like producing text from a prompt. Based on some hard data that you're providing from the dashboard. So this is called data stories. This is another feature within the Q and QuickSight. I highly recommend it if this is part of your business, part of your operations of generating reports, so that have that. This gives you a nice way to generate a first draft, gets over the tyranny of the blank page, as they say. And let me go back to the main dashboard. And then with the data reports, you can publish these and share them out to multiple people. So if you wanted to share those, you can share those around your organization or to other people. If we go back to the main dashboard, so we're back at the main dashboard. So that's the primary kind of features of Q. So there's the asking questions of the data, natural language queries of your data. So not needing to know SQL to query particular elements of data, and that gives you efficiency for users to be able to ask questions. It also unburdens the analysts from having to generate ad hoc reports and code for those reports. It helps the analysts that are building dashboards by allowing them to more quickly generate metrics and try them out, get visualizations automatically generated. They don't need to piecewise construct the visualizations. And then there's also this data stories feature that will allow you to write an entire narrative report on some particular topic that's in your data.